What up, guys? Welcome back to the Empowering Real Talk podcast. It's your girl, Kisha, aka Coach Kay Wds. Thank you so much for tuning in. You know, I'm back with another dope episode, and I actually have a guest with me today, and it is a privilege. This is someone that had reached out to me with regards to the content that they were hearing on the platform. So I'm definitely glad that it's getting out there. And talking to him, I kind of listened to his story, and I fell in love with it because it is exactly the type of story that I love when it comes to mindset shifting and doing what it is we want to do and becoming intentional. So I'm going to introduce motivational speaker and CEO of the Costa Rica Call Center, Mr. Richard Blank. Hi, Richard. How are you?
Hey, Coach Kay. I'm so happy to be here today to spend time with you and share some amazing ideas with your audience.
Absolutely. It is such a privilege. I'm so appreciative of you being here, reaching out. And, you know, with regards to the conversations we've had before, I'm like, yes, I'm all for that. You know, people feel like because I am a mindset motivational coach for women that I just only want to talk to women and I only want to talk about, you know, those set topics with regards to that. But what people don't understand with the bigger picture is hearing stories from different journeys. That is a part of our journey, to give inspiration, to give insight, to give feedback, to help us grow as a whole, you know, individually and community worldwide. So I'm definitely glad to have you here on the platform. Tell us a little bit about you.
Well, first and foremost, I definitely dressed for the ladies today.
Hey.
That's the most important thing. And secondly, there were some incredible women in my life that influenced my positive decisions and assisted me along the way. And so my story begins back in Northeast Philadelphia. When I graduated Abington High School in '91, my Spanish teacher believed in me, Esperanza Galshak, and the principal, the late Norman Schmidt, they assisted me in writing college recommendation letters, because if I didn't have that, I don't think I would have been able to get into the University of Arizona and study Spanish and communication. And so I was always into languages. I didn't want to go to Ivy League and study medicine or law. So I was doubling down on humanities, knowing that it would make me marketable. I would be able to open many doors. And I was given a 1 in a million opportunity, Coach Kay, when I was 27 years old. A very good friend of mine offered a chance to come to Costa Rica and train in English for a couple months at his call center. And listen, if you can get past your parents' guilt, you can live anywhere in the world. And so I decided to take that opportunity, learn the business from the inside and out. And in my mid-30s, I had the impulse control, maturity, and some treasure where I could start my own company. And here we are today.
That is so dope. What you said like really renders true. You know, and we probably won't touch on it too much, but like you said, you know, getting over your parents' guilt. There is so much systematic programming when it comes to, you know, our obligations to other people and, you know, just being stuck because we are fearful of what someone is going to say if we make a decision that they might not necessarily agree with, you know. So big kudos to you for breaking out of that and saying, hey, I'm going to handle this regardless, because look at you today. Like that is an ultimate success story to me.
Thanks, Coach Kay. There's a lot of things that go into that. I had to be responsible. Might seem a little selfish, but my great-grandparents were nomads. They came at the turn of the 20th century into the United States, learned English, and were entrepreneurs. So it skipped a couple generations. So I was making that argument. And secondly, I just didn't want to feel like I was living in a box and doing someone else's life. And also keeping that commitment to myself to live a pure life as long as my intentions were honorable. And sometimes you need to walk alone, Coach Kay.
I agree.
All right. And also, if I may, these were heated arguments at times where people, as you say, do not understand you. But hey, Coach, if someone can give you the luxury of time, just allowing you to sleep on it, maybe write a draft and not send it, calm down, cut out the nonsense, focus on what's important. you might be coming back the next day, readjusting your tone, possibly apologizing for raising your voice yesterday.
That's true.
And
That's true.
starting off strong instead of burning bridges. So, Coach,
Yes.
I look for preventative measures instead of cures.
Yeah, absolutely. And that pretty much goes back to what I say all the time: apply the logic in the situation. We tend to want to react off of emotions so many times, and 9 out of 10 times that is not the best decision for us. Whereas we're going back with regret on that decision, so if we are just able to, take a step back, say, you know what, let me sleep on it. Let me think about it. I'll get back, because now you're going to apply it and you're going to be able to make the best decision for you. So I totally, agree with you on that. And like you said, there were heated arguments, but at the end of the day, you had to do what was best for you. And I don't consider that being selfish. I consider it following our core values in life, doing what it is that we want to do unapologetically. I rock the hashtag unapologetic like all day. So you are describing you making an unapologetic decision to elevate your life. And I think that that's dope.
It's kind of like an artist. You can tell when someone's been practicing the violin.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, outside of the classroom, I was doing a lot of dedicated practice. And as much as it seemed like a novelty and cute that I was doing it, I was taking it seriously.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of positive reinforcement to it. So it wasn't just diving into the deep end head first. There was a lot of toe dipping and testing waters and seeing if this should be the long-term investment. The more vocabulary, the better grammar, the way people received it, how I felt about myself, that I could, all the world's a stage when it came to speaking Spanish. And so I couldn't help but smile. And you can't ruin somebody's vision quest, their spiritual journey. They're on a certain trajectory.
Yeah.
And I think that's a beautiful thing when people can express themselves in a way that's not harmful, but can only enhance any sort of experience.
I agree. We are scared to jump out of those, comfort zones. We are. And I mean, I feel like sometimes social media, well, I ain't gonna say sometimes, a lot of times, social media has a very heavy influence on people wanting to make changes in their life because they have the fear factor of seeing somebody else's failure. But what I need people to understand is failure is always something that you should be looking at. You should always be looking at the option of this not going how you want it to go, and maybe the failure is a harsh word, but on my journey, I had to anticipate that there were going to be obstacles that might not be feasible for me. So it's up to me to reroute accordingly. So I probably wouldn't consider them failures. I can definitely look at them as lessons, but I anticipate those. I anticipate obstacles. I anticipate, things trying to get in the way. I anticipate haters, it's just a matter of understanding that there are things that are designed to sometimes get in our way, and we still have to push forward.
I'll give you a visual. I remember this perfectly. I was having a really good day of business, and I had to walk a couple blocks to my car that was in a parking garage, and I was in a suit. And it started raining, and I could zigzag underneath awnings or try to find an umbrella if I could. But I started, and I stopped. I go, let's just do it. Walking in the rain. And so if you can do that least resistance and almost embrace it, you judge one person's character during chaos.
Yes.
And so looking back at that, instead of complaining, I mean, I got my suit fixed, you bring it to the dry cleaner. But I almost enjoyed I even looked for puddles. Yeah, screw it. I'm going to step in a few puddles too, ruin my shoes. Yes. Go through the whole thing. And I think it was very liberating. It put things in perspective that I shouldn't take life so seriously. And if that's the worst thing that happened to me today, I've been blessed.
That part. You looked at the positive side of that. I love it.
I was looking for puddles.
Like the puddle, and that sounds like something I would do. Like I have gotten to the point on my journey where I didn't like nature. Like I would cry about a bug. Oh my God. Like I would freak out. And now I love being outside in nature, whether it's just going to the local park here. I will go out and I will just sit, grab my chair out my trunk, because I literally have a chair in my trunk, and I will just sit and enjoy the nature side of things all day. Like I could work in the park. I will turn my hotspot on and I will straight zone out. Like, I love that those things are caused from me being selfish with myself for a particular amount of time, because I had to make my transitions, so like, I just think that that is amazing. Like, your story of success, go tell us a little bit more, tell us a little bit more, like, once you got there. Like, I love your story, so I just would love for my listeners to hear it as well.
So August of 2000, your friend Richard shows up at 27 years old with $1,000 in my pocket and big dreams. And so I went to my friend's call center, and what I saw were thousands of local Costa Rican Ticos that were conversing in English, converting calls, getting positive escalations, really showing the art of speech. Mm-hmm. Now, I had a home court advantage. I was, a native speaker, but also, again, I was novice because it's the first time I saw this sort of place. And so I gravitated towards it. By not starting at sea level and being with the people, I got to see what it was like as a proletariat, breaking bread with them, hearing the good and the bad. So it allowed me to really find areas to restore their dignity. Mm-hmm. And as a business owner, to extend empathy towards them, realize their synergy and that we all work together. You work with me, not for me. And these were the sort of simple things that I incorporated in my own foundation, my own ethics as an owner, that enabled me to last and to grow and to be accepted. But, every day was a holiday for me. I was doing almost like a James Bond life and, keeping out of trouble, but making friends. How about this? You were mentioning about fear of social media and what your peers will say about you. I decided to peace out on that. First, we didn't have that Facebook back in the day anyway, back in 2000. But secondly, I white flagged it. I gave up. You could have it. I didn't want to compete with the Joneses or any sort of pressures from Philadelphia, Arizona, wherever else I was. So there was no home court advantage. Things that we hold to such high esteem didn't matter here. So it really is about your charm and good looks, which you and I have in abundance. Hey. And so it's very easy for us to acclimate, to make friends. Every day was a brand new adventure.
Yeah.
And it made life fresh.
Yeah.
And so for me, I was able to really drink life and to put that sort of momentum and energy and focus into my life. And that's why we're here today. I wish I had a tip or a trick, but it was just old school and how you treat others.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It is. It is. We have to, be mindful of that. I hear people say all the time, you never know what someone else is going through. And I wholeheartedly believe that. But we also have to remember what we are going through with ourselves, because we sometimes will dish out the energy that we claim we don't want, but we have it inside and don't realize it because we haven't really fully identified with ourselves yet. So therefore, we might be exuding something that could be coming across as, I don't know if I really want to work with them. I don't know if that energy is okay. So it's up to us to really constantly reflect on that, and be mindful of our own feelings first. It's not being selfish. It's not being, telling people that you don't worry about them and you don't care about them. It's just telling you that you care about enough about them for you to make sure that you are okay first. So you're not giving toxic energy and negative energy out as well, and like with your $1 million smile, I know that, your employees like receive that. I loved when you said, you're working with them. They're not working for you. You're working with them. It's a collaborative effort. That they are a part of your operation. And so many employers, my previous one, was one, we were just an employee. We needed to get things done. They would laugh with us or whatever. But when it came down to, productivity and things like that, in my personal opinion, there was no further training available. It was either just do it this way, but we're not going to show you how to do it this way. Just do it this way. I've been in customer service when I was in corporate America. I worked customer service, collections, sales. I pretty much have been on all parts of the spectrum when it comes to that, from medical bill collection, to credit card bill collection, to customer service. I've been on all parts of the spectrum. And I can honestly say that I did have, some bosses that were empathetic of the fact of that we are trying to call people and, rock their world in a sense. But there were other managers that I felt like were trash as hell. And I'll just, be honest about that. I never bit my tongue when it came to that. But it's super important that we have to understand that we have to create the environment that we want to have, and I love and appreciate that that's what you're doing for your employees.
Well, you did some Division 1 calling. My goodness gracious. We should definitely do a second podcast about that. But you also had a quality assurance department that listened to your calls and coached you. What I like here at my center is I don't have a Smithers to a Mr. Burns. I just don't need a yes man. Somebody needs to come to me and be forthright. Those are the best leaders and the ones that can find ways to make their work, more efficient.
Absolutely.
But also there is diplomacy to it. Just don't say this list stinks and this is this. First, you should ask to make a suggestion. So then you get the permission. In order for me to, how and what compared to whys, clarifying things, following it up with if it makes sense or could you see doing this? Maybe you taking copious notes, the meeting minutes. So post-meeting, there's accountability. And so someone can't say you forgot, you were there. I sent you the email last Thursday. You said you were going to press the red button. And so it's not calling people out, it's a mirror. So they have to call themselves out. And I think instead of you doing those sort of corrections, which you could balance the bike, but let go. A lot of self-improvement, Coach Kay, is from that self-analysis.
Yes.
And so if you have a recording, if you have a target date, time-stamped email, any sort of correspondence, not to say I told you so, but for my clarification, you did mention last Thursday. Is that correct? And so these are the sort of things that can soften any sort of blow into, if you need to discuss something in an uncomfortable way, at least you're doing it through a certain sort of more sincere strategy.
Right.
As to less offend. But you need to get it done. And in regards to productivity, yes, it's not all fun and games. Someone has to produce to keep the account. But there are certain things to give this sort of engagement to the agent so they feel the support. Mm-hmm. They know that every day they're getting better because they have people that are investing in them. That's how we're capable of reducing attrition, burnout, or someone just going through the motions and becoming a fading flower, as we say.
Yeah, I agree. We have to, and especially in these last couple of years, I say all day, the sanest person has been tested, to the ultimate degree. And I feel like the employers have an obligation to ensure that, they are able to maintain, productivity, and they are able to, do their job to the best of their ability, because just because someone is coming into work doesn't mean that they're actually working.
That's right.
So it's important. Do you have like policies and procedures within the company that, that gives that extension to your employees to say, hey, reach out, if there's something you need to discuss on a personal level, do you have that option for your employees at this time?
We do, Coach Kay, but once again, the first things first, I am a guest here and we have to follow all Costa Rican labor laws and pay all the taxes. So I just can't hit the ball and drag Johnny. I mean, if some kid's showing up late every day, it's not my fault. The client's going to tell me to replace them.
Right.
And then I can't fall on a sword for them because it's not the moment that they walk in my doors, I will do everything I can to be accountable for their work. And if someone is not working well, maybe it's right bus, right seat, Coach Kay. Maybe I need to move this individual to a different account.
Right.
I'm not just going to move someone around and because they're 0 for 5 and just I'm married to them. Mm-hmm. No, if someone was on a campaign, put in their time, showed efforts, they've earned the chance of doing a horizontal move and to be able to go into another campaign and to help it grow. And so for me, yes, it's a multi-generational culture. It's also Catholic culture. So they're God-fearing. And these individuals, which are average age 24 years old, they may be taking care of their parents and grandparents. So there's a lot of responsibility here. This is not just beer money and party.
Right.
And I know that there is natural attrition because companies such as Amazon, HP, Intel, Oracle exist here. And for their scalability, they need to reach out to all level 1 support. So what happens, Coach, is that you and I, in order to grow a campaign, might have a couple old school all-stars, but a fraction that may be brand new agents, never worked at a center before. I mean, they got the skill set, they just don't know a CRM and a headset. That can be taught in an hour. But I tell you what, they are not coming in with bad habits. You and I could mold them. We could show them how to gain that sort of composure on the phone.
That's dope.
And if they start with our culture, you know, Coach Kay and Richard's culture, while we're playing pinball, hanging out in the lunchroom, high-fiving in the cubicles, there's no reason why our crew can't start growing of winners.
Yeah.
And so that's what we're looking to do as well.
That's dope. Like that's great. You know, creating a space because you understand that in order for the productivity to, you know, be consistent and, you know, for the clients to be happy with the results, you know, that the environment, you know, high five and, you know, reassuring, positive reinforcement, you know, that within a workplace, I feel is super important. Do I think that should happen every day? No. You know, do I put accountability on us as individuals? I do, because if we know that there is something bothering us and hindering us, you know, we do have an obligation to you know, get checked out and talk to somebody. Right. You know, but I love that you have that, you know, the pinball machine, like, you know, I love the pinball and the Pac-Man. We talked about that before, so which I see in the background, so I love it. But
it had to be done. Recess was the best class, and dessert should be served first.
That part.
And these are real classic pinball machines, you know.
But the fact that your employees even have the option of that, I think is dope, you know, and we need that. You know, our employers have to take some notes from you. Definitely. So here in the States as well, you know, because I know you're in Costa Rica, but here in the States, it needs to be taken into consideration. You know, and I know that there are some organizations that do, but I also know that there are more that don't, you know, and then they're wondering why, you know, productivity is not up. They're wondering why things aren't going how they're going. The clients aren't happy. You can't move anybody because the whole company as a whole is struggling because they're not happy as a team, you know. So to hear you say that you have, you know, things implemented for that, I think is dope.
People need to let off steam, recharge batteries, make a friend. It reminds me of a boring and cold waiting room with bad magazines and uncomfortable chairs. Why not have sofas, coffee in the corner with some cookies? And so if we're waiting a half an hour to see somebody, at least it's in that sort of environment. When you're in my reception area, you're sitting next to a jukebox and hanging out. And so it could help you relax.
Yes.
But no, this gamification culture was essential for me, for my own personal taste, because I like treasure hunting and collecting these old machines that I can restore. But as a boss, if I can go downstairs and play pinball with somebody and be at that sort of equal level, those are the sort of people that tap me on the shoulder and say, "Good morning, Jefe," when they walk past me in the morning.
Love it. I love it.
And that's the best sort of compliment that I could receive from someone.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that 100%. That's the reassurance of you knowing that you are doing an amazing job. Because, you know, we know that there are employees that do not go up and say hi to their bosses or their CEOs, you know, but the fact that you're even there with them to be able for them to come and even say hello to you, that matters. You know,
Coach Kay, can we address that for a second?
Yeah, sure.
Because owners of company, they have a stigma. Maybe we can break those misconceptions. Let's all slow down for a second here. First, I was in their shoes. So if they think I just write checks, put me on a phone. I'll run circles around you. It'll be 7-0 by the first period. But that's not, I mean, you have to have a Miyagi. So that's number one. Number two, learning their language shows some sort of respect. So they shouldn't be afraid of me either. I'm a guest in their country, home court advantage. Number three, fear. It's a morbid anticipation. If you're not cheating on a test, why are you afraid of a teacher? Breaking the law, why a cop? And if you're coming to work on time, pen at the ready, that's your problem. You shouldn't be afraid of me, because one day you're going to be in my shoes. And don't judge me on what happened on the last job that you had. So it's just that sort of maturity that these individuals need to have. And especially when their mothers come to pick them up at the end of work. And I'll go downstairs, Coach, and you're almost going to have to pull me away because I'm going to be complimenting you so much. And that's a sort of gift that keeps on giving. And usually their family members are the ones that let them know, hey, give this kid a break. He's not like the average boss. Maybe this is one of the leaders you can learn from. So when you do have your own company, I am the last boss you ever have. Maybe you will pay it forward. Me today, you tomorrow. And success, coach, is built on a million thank yous. I can't tell you how humble I am and gracious, but I am.
Yeah.
And so that's why I have this sort of spring in my step. My toes are always tapping because I've created a happy environment. And I still can't believe that this existed, but it had to be done. And so I fulfilled that sort of need in my life.
I love it. I love it. The journey was necessary for you, Richard. And I am just loving that you fulfilled that and you still are, because speaking with you today, the passion just comes across in your face. It comes across in your words. It's not something that you are tired of yet. You still probably got about another 30, 40 years in front of you sounding like.
Where? I'll try.
Hey, I believe it, because your intentions are pure. You have positive, thoughts, and you are always looking for, better for you, for your company, and in a heartfelt way, not just a money way. It definitely comes across. What's your plans for like the next year, 5 years, 10 years? What do you anticipate?
Once again, just to promote as many people as possible. But between me and you, I want to start writing some children's books.
Nice.
I'll give you a hint. It's going to involve Rube Goldberg experiments and mini golf.
Okay.
It'll be a lot of fun.
I love it. I love it. You have such a clear mind that you are just, soon as I asked you, you're like, hey, I'm this specifically, this specifically, this specifically. Like that is the mind of that's clarity. That's clarity.
I want every day to be like camp. I want like 5 activities with a bunch of eating in between. Nap time too. The last time I had that was kindergarten. I definitely want that back.
Oh man, I love it. I love it. All right. So closing out, let's go ahead. Just kind of give some insight, and some inspiration. You've been very informative today. But kind of, end us out here with some inspiration on, just making the moves for you. If you could talk to somebody and tell them, what they could do to begin that shift, what would you recommend?
Well, the first thing is to reach out to Coach Kay and say hello. You got thousands of listeners that you don't even know of that you've changed their lives. So I'm so happy I did. And spending time with you is amazing. We always have so much fun. I support what you do, Coach. And so anyway, besides that, I'm super happy.
I appreciate that. I do. I appreciate that.
All right. Words of wisdom. Fortune favors the brave. And there's going to be a lot of naysayers and gray believers out there. They love you. Okay. It's just they're concerned for you. They may not understand your journey and where you're going. As long as you're financially responsible and responsible for your family, I don't think there's any reason why you can't, take a bite out of life, take your chance. Try something just to see if you can fulfill that need and if it can build some sort of momentum. But, there's a lot of times that you need to do your own due diligence and do your own research. I just didn't jump into this. Once again, it was the Spanish. It was figuring out what it would be like to live abroad and to be with other cultures. Because if you start resisting, you become desperate, then you make terrible, terrible decisions. And I'm not telling you to have a backpack full of things to bring with you. There may be times in life you have nothing with you, not even a cell phone. Are you capable of having a conversation? Are you capable of properly introducing yourself? Can you represent yourself, your country, your family, your neighborhood in the best light? And what I wanted to do was to see how high I could fly and how far I could go. And by doing so, I got an excellent cocktail party story to tell people. But this is what I have noticed. When I visit my friends in Philadelphia every 5 years for our reunion, and these are my favorite people in the world, they're also successful, beautiful families, careers, and wonderful lives. But each one said, hey, Richard, before maybe I had kids or the mortgage or did this career, I would have liked to have tried this for a while. It didn't have to be my story. You have your own adventure. You're your own Justice League superhero. But each one would look at me in my eyes and go, you actually did do it. You did your thing. And I kind of wanted to do my thing, but I got stuck into opinions and predestined careers and expectations. It's something you and I spoke about in the beginning.
Yep.
And I let them know that it's okay. I'm not going to say I told you so or keep score tit for tat, but they know in their hearts that you're only given 100 years and you should live a poet's life and see what really this amazing world can offer you if you put yourself out there. And that's pretty much what I would be saying for you and your incredible audience today. And thank you so much for spending the time with us.
Thank you again. Like, you guys, listen, as I said in the beginning, you know, yes, I'm all about the mind. And if you didn't get value out of this episode because of the inspiration of telling you how you can make the shifts and really become who it is that you want to be as a whole and do what you want to do unapologetically. So, Richard, congratulations to that. I am super proud of you. You know, we will definitely probably be having more conversations.
Oh, wonderful.
You know, so I'm definitely, you know, definitely appreciate you being here. Let them know before we go where they can find you and where they can find information about the Costa Rica Call Center.
Absolutely. You can buy a first class plane ticket and come down and visit me, Coach Kay.
Hey.
That's number one. But you can check us out on our Facebook fan page. We have about 99,000 local Costa Rican Ticos here, and they can't wait to meet you. You have thousands of new fans. And if your audience is interested in the business process outsourcing industry in Costa Rica, they'll realize we're north of Panama, south of Nicaragua, the only democratic society in Central America. There's no standing army, 95% literacy rate. Companies such as Amazon, HP, Intel, Oracle are here. Medical tourism, ecotourism, and your friend Richard is here, and I got plenty of suggestions. And so it's a wonderful place to be. And if someone just wants to reach out to me, send me an email at CEO Costa Rica's call center and just share your script or some rebuttals or bounce ideas back and forth. Just let them know Coach Kay sent you. Hey. And I'll definitely give you the extra sauce. So there you go.
Thank you so much for being here, you guys. It's been a pleasure talking to him today. Y'all know where y'all can find me at. I'm on all social media at Coach Kay Wds. Make sure you are subscribed to the platform. Make sure you are subscribed to the podcast. And make sure you are subscribed to the YouTube channel because we are just heating up. It has been a pleasure. It has been an honor. You stay online here real quick, and I'm going to go ahead and end it. But you guys, we will talk to y'all soon. Stay positive, baby.